Let's get from House Budget reaction from Congressman Chip Roy. Congressman, what do you make of what you just heard? DOGE is a legitimate government unit that's part of the executive branch and answers to the president. What do you make of Democrats here?
Well, first of all, DOGE was inserted into a part of the White House that was created by Barack Obama. Let's remember that. That is an entity that existed under President Obama. Now they're going forth and they're finding all of these ridiculous expenditures, like $32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru. And somehow Democrats are losing their mind that they think it's bad that we're finding that stuff. Of course, the president has not just the authority, but the duty to go find these ridiculous expenditures and to highlight them for the American people, to try to eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse. And importantly, on this legal nonsense, let's remember that it was the Biden administration that unilaterally ignored the courts and ignored the law when they then decided to forgive $250 billion worth of student loans. Never mind what that does to the electrician, the plumber, the person who's paid off their loans. So let's talk about what they've done to ignore courts. Here, what the president is rightly doing is seeking the truth. I think this will all fail when it moves up the chain in courts. Yeah. Right now, they're in the liberal jurisdictions in D.C. and in the First Circuit. The fact is, of course, the president can go down the hall and figure out whether your Social Security number is unfortunately being used by 100 other people. Of course they can do that. So we'll win this in the courts in the end. And regardless, it is J.D. Vance was right when he said, you know, you can't have the judges insert themselves and undermine a core constitutional function of the chief executive.
Well, that's interesting because you just hit the nail on the head of what the debate is about. It's about activist judges. They do not have the right to compel any executive branch to spend our tax dollars how they see fit. I mean, you had U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi slamming these unelected judges, trying to control government spending when there's a clear separation of powers. If they have a problem with policy, take it to the Supreme Court. Let's listen to Trump Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt on this. Watch.
Many outlets in this room have been fear-mongering the American people into believing there is a constitutional crisis taking place here at the White House. I've been hearing those words a lot lately. But in fact, the real constitutional crisis is taking place within our judicial branch, where district court judges in liberal districts across the country are abusing their power to unilaterally block President Trump's basic executive authority. We believe these judges are acting as judicial activists rather than honest arbiters of the law. Quick news flash to these liberal judges who are supporting their obstructionist efforts: 77 million Americans voted to elect this president. We will comply with the law in the courts, but we will also continue to seek every legal remedy to ultimately overturn these radical injunctions and ensure President Trump's policies can be enacted.
Before we get your reaction, show the Reuters poll. Congressman, 61% of Americans want DOGE to downside the government. A new Pew poll has Trump at record high approvals. What did you make of Press Secretary Leavitt and what she said there?
Well, first of all, she's doing a fantastic job. She nailed it. What I really hope is that Congress will back the president up by actually converting his executive orders into law, converting them into action through the reconciliation process, and backing the president up by, for example, maybe making changes to the now very much abused Administrative Procedures Act that the courts are abusing. But the president is right. He should stay the course. He has a constitutional right and duty to defend our tax dollars. Russ Vogt can use impoundment. We can do rescission. And the president is not forced to spend every single dollar. He can do it the way he sees fit as the chief executive. Appreciate it very much.
Congressman Chip Roy, always interesting to talk to you. Thank you so much, sir, for being with us tonight. It's great to see you again.